Papa Jean. It's okay to dance. Woo! Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. It means a war. Hallelujah. Oh, yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Amen. Oh, my. Who needs to go downtown dancing? Who needs to do that? Oh, my. Don't you love it? Jerry, you're going to say something. I know because you're standing with your hand up. Yes.
Pressing upon my heart here, and I was listening and praying to the Lord to hear the tongues,
Yeah.
the interpretation. You're able to judge the word. Necessarily, maybe we speak without the tongues as well, with the understanding.
Yeah.
And the Lord been telling me in my spirit
Thank you, Jerry. It's wonderful. Thank you. It's the truth. Well, Kenneth, so wonderful to have you with us. I'm not even going to try to pronounce your last name. It's got like 9 syllables in it. I don't know what it is. But anyway, he's going to just share a little bit about Rodham and his testimony. So have your liberty, sir.
Thank you so much, Pastor Keith. Good morning, church. I'm so happy to be here this morning. I'm especially happy to see I call him my father in Canada, Bill, dancing. I have not seen him dance, and this church has made him dance. And, in Africa, we say Caucasians don't have the gift of rhythm, but I saw he was of rhythm as much as we do. That's what we say. So, but I think he has the gift of rhythm. But it's good being in a church where you can freely dance. I was telling Linda this morning that she asked me if I had been back to my church. I used to go to a big church and I was an elder there, but now I got a very small church. I told her I am not going, haven't been back. I would rather go back to my home village church far away, because there everybody dances. The older people, the young people, they get up in our traditional dance and just dance for the Lord. So it's good to see you dancing. I'm blessed to be here this morning. I felt I should just share my testimony because I'm not a preacher. I run a ministry that helps older people. I want to thank you because you have been part of this ministry. So in the few minutes I have, I'll try to share with you my testimony, and my prayer is that you may be blessed. And if time allows, I have a 4-minute video at the end of my testimony. It will be played because it kind of ties into my testimony. This morning, I came with Bill and Marlene, who are the founders of Reach One, Touch One Ministries in Canada. So I know many of you know them, but I would like once again to ask Bill and Marlene to just stand up and wave those who don't know you. When the Lord put on my heart the burden for the old people in Uganda, and I went and I started it, I needed partners and supporters, and through my friends, I was able to meet Bill and Marlene, who, without knowing me, graciously accepted to be pioneers of Reach One, Touch One Ministries in Canada. And for the last 11 years, under their leadership, Reach One Touch Ministries has come an established ministry, helping over 120 older people in Uganda, from Canada alone, and many other projects done, houses for seniors, water sources, and the most recent gifts from Canada we received were 2 vans that we use to bring seniors to hospital and to take them wherever they need help. So thank you, Bill and Marlene, for your help. And I came with Mama Linda. She's a special friend. She has been to Uganda 3 times, and she's coming again soon. And Linda has a special connection to Uganda because when she first came through the Stephen Lewis Foundation Grandmothers Campaign, she fell in love with us. She fell in love with me and my team and my family, and has come back since, including bringing a 40-foot container full of medical equipment that was enough to furnish our health facilities in 2 parts of Uganda, the only health facilities dedicated to care for older people. And she has loved us, she has cared for us, and Linda, thank you so much. She lives She lives in Dartmouth, and hopefully she can come and visit this church again. She likes the music, she likes the dance. I know she does, because she likes, when she comes to Uganda, she enjoys our dance and music. So I hope she can come again and visit with you. But I just want to thank you all so much. And Linda, thank you very much. When I come, she takes care of me and I eat. And them too know I love chai tea. Chai is, some of you might know, it's the way we make it in Uganda is a lot of milk and with tea, and it's special. They are the ones who have figured it out, and they know I survive on that. So thank you so much. And thank you again, Pastor Keith, for coming to Uganda. Thank you. I know it was not long enough, but thank you for visiting. I hope you had a glimpse of what happens in our ministry. As you probably know, my name is Kenneth Mugaye Hwenchi. Mugaye Hwenchi is a long name. Even in my own family, it's the longest. And even in Uganda, many Ugandans would not pronounce it. So it's not, don't strive. Call me Kenneth, you'll be fine. I like Kenneth, and so it's not only you, it's only my family has been able to pronounce it the first time easily. Today I would like to share with you my testimony, but I want to base it on experiences in the Bible. And I'll use the phrase out of the comfort zone. Or you could use the term wilderness. In the Bible, there are many stories, especially the Old Testament, that speak to this. They speak to different seasons of our lives. That as we live this life, Christian life, before we go to heaven, we go through many seasons of life. Sometimes they change regularly. You are blessed in Canada to have different seasons. In Uganda, we only have dry and wet. The temperatures are the same. Everything is the same, except when there is no rain, we call it dry season. When there is so much rain, we call it wet season. So are many African countries. But you who live here, you have seasons. And so is our life. There are seasons. And in our lives, there are those seasons of being in the wilderness, being out of the comfort zone. This could be spiritual or emotional. There are times when you are emotionally struggling and you don't know how life will continue. This could even be spiritual. We are Christians, and some of us Christians, including myself, we like to be very spiritual, and you see everything in spiritual terms. And you define everything that happens around you in spiritual terms. I had an elder who was a professor when I was in college. We actually called him a demonologist because he defined every life circumstance into demonology. If you were sick, it was a demon. If you were struggling, it was a demon. It was to a point that for some of us it was very difficult. But even when you are that spiritual, there is a time when you are not even able to define anything in terms of spiritual. There are times when you feel like God is very far away from you. So it could be emotional, it could be spiritual, but many times it is even physical. Many times it is physical. You are away from your comfort zone. Home is a comfortable place. Your area, you who live here, this must have become a comfortable place for you. Your church is a comfortable church. This music is nice, you enjoy it, you get used to it. If you have a family, your family is comfortable, you enjoy being with your wife, children, and relatives. In Uganda, our families are very big. Our cousins, uncles, grandparents, everybody in rural areas live together, and it's very comfortable. But sometimes you are even out of that physical comfort. Many times, it is not because you will to be out of that comfort. I am assuming that some of you have come from East Africa, and the whole of the Great Lakes region has gone through very difficult times for many years, too many years that I don't even see why it should continue. But it has been very difficult. Uganda had wars for quite some time. Uganda is known predominantly for two things: Idi Amin and AIDS, unfortunately. But those were times when many people had to leave Uganda. And even after, even recently, as recent as February, we had elections which many people disagree with. And I'm sure many people are running out of the country as I speak because of that disagreement. Some people are being locked up, others are. So you may be out of your physical comfort zone, your home, your tribe, your region, your country because of what is happening. But sometimes you're out because you wish to be, but it does not mean you do not feel uncomfortable. There are many Ugandans who have moved to North America and Europe because they want to. My brother-in-law lives in Toronto. He was very successful in Uganda. He chose to. He paid a lot of money to become a Canadian, and he's now Canadian. Though I think he's uncomfortable now, he's talking about going back home. I think he's talking about going back home. But what I'm trying to say that there are times and seasons in our lives when we are uncomfortable, when we are in the wilderness, when we feel things are not as you want them to be. It might be emotional. And we read in the Bible, I will not go to read the Bible, but you probably know this. Moses was in the wilderness for so many years with the Israelites. And there are so many lessons you could learn from that. Moses had, after killing somebody, which was, if it was today, would have been locked up somewhere in a Canadian jail, had to run. And he ran away. And when he ran away, he found himself in an uncomfortable place. And his life was like that for all the time since then. He never had a comfortable life. He passed on before he could go to the promised land. He lived in the wilderness. But while he was in the wilderness, there are lessons that I think he learned that we could learn from. So was many other biblical characters. Nehemiah was out of his home. His circumstances were not as bad as Moses' were, but he was not at home. So I would like to take a few lessons without necessarily reading from the Bible, but assuming that you know these stories, and I'll try to paraphrase. You know, after Moses ran, he went and lived away. While he was there, he helped these young ladies of the lead of the area, and through that he was able to live there. He got married there, and he tried to make life of being physically away from where he used to be. And so was Nehemiah. Nehemiah was away. In terms of Nehemiah, it would be like me moving to USA, having a good job. He had a good job, like Joseph had a good job at some point, and he was trying to make life out of everything. But in both experiences, when you read Exodus 1 and 2 and 3, you see how Moses ran and we see how Moses was called. So it's in Nehemiah 1 and 2, you see how he had a job and he was trying to make life. But while they were there, some important things happened that relate to my experience and testimony. One thing that happened was those times when you are out of the comfort zone, like it was for Moses, are times of character formation. There are times of character formation. In every case, while you are out of your comfort zone, rather than think about how quickly do I get out of this emotional struggle, how quickly do I get out of this spiritual struggle, do you ever think of what can I get from this experience? While you are out of your comfort zone, it gives you an opportunity, and sometimes it forces you to deeply think about your life. We met my former president, the former president of St. FX University. He is not working anymore, he's retired in Angonish. And Linda told him, this is an opportunity for you to reflect. When you're out of the comfort zone, it's an opportunity for you to deeply reflect. Instead of asking, how do I get out of here? It's an opportunity for you to say, what do I get out of this experience? My tendency, and our human tendency, is that how quickly do I get out? But as I was reading, I thought, do we ever think, what do I get out of this? Do we ever think, what does it teach me in terms of priorities of my life? Especially if it's a difficult experience, you know. Many times out when you're out of your home, I was in America, and I'm going to share shortly, and it's supposed to be a land of opportunities, but it was different, and it was not easy. So I'm sharing with you now that when you're out of your comfort zone, let it be an opportunity of thinking and reflecting. In the life of, and the second thing I want you to know is that even when you are in a difficult wilderness, it is not time to give up on God. It's actually the time when you should depend on God most. The times I have studied the Bible, the times I have prayed, the times I have reflected, I can assure you are times when I've been alone, away. I have tried my best that when I'm away from home, I use that opportunity to rethink, but also to read the Bible. I am so busy in my regular life. That's when I'm at your house, I sleep so long, because when I'm back in Uganda, I am up and about, working and running and trying to raise money, trying to help the older people. But when I'm out of that regular rhythm, I try to trust God more. We read in Nehemiah 1:4-6 that when Nehemiah got the news from his people, he started fasting and praying for Jerusalem and his people. It's time to have a special encounter with God when you are out of your comfort zone. We'll read again when Moses had a special time with God and was asking, what do I tell him? He had a communication, there was a special encounter. Do we think that those times when we are out of our comfort zone might be times for us to have a special encounter? Or do we think there are times for suffering and pain and we hate them, we hate God, we hate everybody around us? If you read both the two characters and others, I do not see where Moses actually got very bitter to hate everybody else and hate himself. I see Moses having a relationship with his master, working hard, being diligent, making the most out of that time, but also having a special relationship with God. I see Nehemiah working diligently for the king. When you are out of your comfort zone, you may easily resign from doing anything that you're supposed to do because you're wishing for the best time, then you can go back to the normal rhythm. Do you ever say, when I get over this emotional problem, when I'm able to read my Bible normally again, or when I'm back home, then I will be able to do the right things. Now, everybody understands. It's very easy to say, they understand. How can I be nice? I'm such in a difficult time. How can I be nice here? If you're from Uganda and you come here and winter comes, it's like, man, how can I even be nice? This is so cold. Even now, today, because I was not sure, I'll put on something for winter, just in case. It may get very cold, but for Moses and for Nehemiah, I see them working diligently for their bosses, working diligently for the king, making the most out of the time they're out of the comfort zone. I encourage us as Christians, when we are out of the rhythm of the normal and joyful, let's not curse the world around us. Let's not curse the people around us. Let's not lay it on the people that we are with. It's not their fault. Let's use this time to be the Christians we are meant to be the testimony for Christ, to live an honoring life. You see Moses helping the daughters. You see Nehemiah doing his job very well, even after getting the news of what was happening to his people. Now, I've just talked about Uganda. As I noticed, there are quite many people from my region. I think the news you get regularly from home are not necessarily good news, especially when you think about how rich our countries are. We had a Congolese song there, and Congo, I believe that Congo is the richest country on earth. that country has, whatever you think about that, because it has so much, everybody wants a piece of it. My president was once there trying to get something. So was the Rwandese president. Everybody wants something because it's like, it's right there. I've not been there, but people tell you when you go to Congo, the choice timbers are there. All kinds of minerals, all kinds of oil, nice people. But while you're here, you get news from our countries of terrible elections, of another war, women being, all kinds of stuff. I don't even want to say. And so was Nehemiah. He was told, his people came and told him, and so did God to Moses, said, I've seen my people, they are suffering. People told Nehemiah, the city is in ruins, nobody's doing anything, people are suffering. But he took that opportunity to see what God was doing in his life. So it's a time of reflection, it's a time to depend on God more, it's a time to try and make the best out of it. But most importantly, before I quickly share my testimony, it's a time to hear what God is telling you.
Amen.
Those times are the best time to hear. Do you realize that when you're comfortable, you hardly hear anything? You actually, when you're comfortable, you may not even hear your own people. In Uganda, they have a saying that when men become wealthy, they even stop hearing their wives. They start being crazy. So in comfort, you don't listen to nobody. You don't even listen to God. But when you're out of comfort, it's an opportunity to listen to what God is telling you. What is God telling you now? Moses heard what God was telling him. God called him to go to his people and rescue them from the suffering. Nehemiah heard what God was telling him. The city was in ruins. The people were suffering. The walls were broken down. As I thought of sharing with you, I thought of sharing my testimony. I came to North America through Canada. I came to Cody International Institute in Antigonish. And when I came, I actually struggled to getting a visa. That I got my visa at 12 o'clock, flying at 3. So I just had faith. I walked to the embassy. I got a Canadian visa before, but I had to go through UK and change planes. And the British want you to have a transit visa when you're getting out of the airport to another. So I got the British visa at 12. I ran to the airport to get on the plane. And I remember saying, Christian as I was, I'm not coming back to this country. I have suffered so much to get out that you never see me come back. So I went to Cody, I studied at Cody, and while I was pursuing my diploma, I looked for a job, and I found a good job in the US to be a social worker. I did interviews in Halifax. And when I got a job, I went to the US. Ugandans call it the land of opportunities. And while there, my wife, who was back home, and I was working to make sure I bring her over, sent me a message saying, Kenneth, I work for Compassion. We support children, but there are 2 children whom I cannot put in this program because it is full. And they keep crying to me they need help. What do we do? I said, oh, we help them. I am working in America. I earn as much as Americans earn. While we are still here, I'm still here, we pay for them. So I started paying for them school fees, and at the same time working on my paperwork to bring my family to USA. While I did that, I went home to visit my family. My kids had no passports and all that kind of stuff. And Uganda is a country of connections. I knew people in Uganda. I went home, got passports, left them there. I said, you know, you get your paperwork sent and you apply for your visas to accompany me as a person working in America. But during the visit, which was meant to prepare my family to come, I saw the needs of the girls that I supported. There were 5 and 7 living with a very old grandmother in a very poor house. And I have seen these things, just like many people have seen these things. I had seen poor people forever. I had lived in Uganda all my life. I had worked with orphans for 9 years. They were living with grandparents. But this particular time, I saw the needs of poor old people in a new and special way. I saw loneliness. I saw suffering. Elizabeth had lost all her family. All she had left was these 2 grandchildren. And here she was, helpless, The need that I saw immediately was a house. With my friends, we quickly built for them a house in 2 weeks, and they got a good house. But that touched and changed my life. That when I went to America, life was not the same for me. Like Nehemiah, like Moses, I kept feeling like, why would God show me this? And give me an opportunity in an instant to build a house for somebody that changed their life. To cut the long story short, I quit my job in US. I went back to Uganda with the desire to minister to Elizabeth the gospel of Christ. And I did reach out to Elizabeth, and sooner they became 8 old people that I was ministering. In Uganda, many of you might have heard, we don't have pensions, we don't have social security, we don't have medical insurance, we don't have medical care, and so are many sub-Saharan African countries. What we have that works very well in the normal circumstances is our family. Our families work. It's the best insurance you can have in Africa. That's why many years ago, people had many children. You lived together. If I got very old, the young ones keep working the land. They feed us. They take care of the little ones. They grow. It's the same, but that doesn't involve cash. And it worked very well, but unfortunately, it no longer works as well as before because the economies are now cash economies. Many people have moved to cities and many other problems, wars and AIDS. So I saw that, and I went back to Uganda, and because I listened to God's voice, now, as I share with you, and you've become part of this story, Reach One Touch One Ministries, which I later formed as a nonprofit, reaches over 900 older people in so many villages of Uganda with regular spiritual support, with regular health care. Only yesterday, a few days ago, we were given an ambulance in Canada to take to Uganda that will take old folks to the hospital whenever they need it. They get regular food supplies. They get together for bi-weekly fellowships where they dance just like you guys have danced here. Some of them even more, and just have a good time together.
Praise God.
And many have lived a little longer and happier because I was able to go home, leave my job. I remember the time I was about to leave. Our clinical director, Dr. Rima, said, Kenneth, what's wrong with you? How can you go to a country where there is Joseph Cohn cutting lips of people? Joseph Cohn was fine in the north. I was living in the central. I couldn't explain to him the difference between the two areas, but even then, he was like, what's wrong with you? Even my family, my mother, they said, Kenneth, how can you come back? But God had spoken to me during the time of being out of the comfort zone. And I listened. And because I listened, so many people, Bill and Marlene, I never knew Bill and Marlene. The Lord brought them to me. Linda, this church supports 2 seniors and many other churches. So many people, 3 seniors, many other people in the US, in Canada, now in UK and Germany, support old people because God called me to do this. And now we are extending our support to Ethiopia. Our desire is to support and be an example of aged care, a place where there are no people to care for their people in the Eastern African region, so that the whole area has an example of how you can be a testimony for Christ caring for the needy. So if the Lord is speaking to you in times when you think things are difficult, maybe it's time to listen and do what He's asking you to do. It will never be impossible because when He speaks to you, He equips you. We joke with Mama Linda and she said, Kenneth, what do? You just sleep. Yes, I just sleep and I just walk and I just talk, but the Lord works through me because He called me to do it. Amen. The Lord will speak to you. When you are in uncomfortable times, do not take it as a terrible time. It's a time that the Lord wants you to reflect. It's a time that the Lord is using to speak to you. And when He speaks to you, please do not harden your heart. Come back to Him, do what He calls you to do. It might just be something very simple. It might be very hard according to your eyes. Me telling my wife and children that you cannot live in America, that chance is gone. Telling everybody else that you cannot live in America because I have to come back was not an easy thing. But now both my parents, my children, and everybody in my community is thankful that I made that decision and followed God. In my community alone, my village and extended village, over 300 old people access free health care because I went back home. So today I'm here to encourage you that if the Lord speaks to you during your time of uncomfortable time, please listen and follow. Thank you so much for sharing. For giving me a chance to share. If it is okay, I don't know how much time is left. There is a short video. The reason I'm showing this video is because some of you are comfortable here. Pastor made it to Uganda. He experienced what I call a journey for change. If you ever want to come and visit, whether it is Rotom or any other ministry, please come because you will not stay the same. This is a video of one of our friends in America who came to visit, and she was touched and changed, and she's not the same. So enjoy, and thank you very much.